Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich. We're looking at number 10. Which of these rectangles has the same area as the triangle? Choose the correct answer. Now in class, I do want to remind you that we talked about if you take two of the same size, whether it be a rectangle or a parallelogram, and you kind of flip it around and manipulate it, you can make a rectangle or a parallelogram with two equal sized triangles that are flipped. But that's kind of just a little side note that I just wanted to throw out there. Let's make sure we understand what we really need to do, which is we need to find the area of this thing. And they try to intimidate you by giving you extra numbers to force you to identify what are the numbers that you actually need. The formula for area of a triangle, recall, is area equals half of the base times the height. Now I'm going to use a different color here, which will make more sense in just a second why I'm putting this in red and the rest of it in blue. Now, if we take a look at the numbers here, we have area equals half, and we have to find the two numbers that are perpendicular to each other. So I see the perpendicular symbol, and I almost like to use that as like little arrow tips to point at the numbers that you need. So see how it's like pointing at this dotted line, and then it's also pointing at this line. So let's call 21 the base, and I'm going to write that in red, and it'll be more clear why in just a second. And the height, which is perpendicular to that, is 12. Now they give you extra numbers that we don't need. You would need them if you were doing the perimeter, because if you were doing the perimeter of this thing, then you'd be adding up all the lines on the outside to get the distance going around the figure. But in this case, we're talking about the area. All right, now if we go ahead and finish this up, usually what I like to do is I like to take half of the even number, just because you can usually do that in your head. Half of the even number gives us 6, and we'd have to find 6 times 21 to finish this up. So I'm going to put the algorithm over here off to the side. All right, and 1 times 6 is 6, and this times this is 12. So the area of the triangle we have right here is 126. So that means we have to choose something that would also give us an area of 126. And I want to bring up something that's the fact that these red numbers would actually be a rectangle, right? Or actually in this case, going back to what I was saying earlier, if this was a parallelogram, then the area would have been the product of 21 times 12. But because it's really half of the parallelogram, that's why we divide it by 2 or take half of it. And that's why we get 126. But if we had doubled this number, then we'd be back to what it would be if it was a complete parallelogram. In other words, if it was that shape. But let's take a look at what they're offering here as choices. Now remember, the area of a rectangle is area equals base times height. So what you need to do is you need to go through each choice, take the two numbers that they give you, and multiply them together, and see which one also gives you this number. But you might notice something. You might notice something that if you look at the numbers that I have here in green, that kind of matches up one of the choices right there. Now, it does say choose all the correct answers. There may be more than one, so just make sure that you actually find the product of all of these and compare it to this number right here and pick all the ones that have an equivalent product. All right, good luck finishing that up.